In today's video, I will be showing you how I make this 3-spider child's Afghan. It's approximately 39 by 62 inches, and you will be using bobble stitches, a ripple pattern, and also a Spiderweb granny square. These are just some of the stitches you will be using or learning in this video. This is such a fun piece. It's perfect for any kid, any time of year. Halloween's a particularly favorite time and fun time to make or give something like this to a child or to yourself. The Afghan itself is made with a size 3 yarn, but of course you could use a size 4 or a size 5, and I kind of talk about that a little further on in the video. It can be made in any color that you want. You can certainly use any scraps you have. It's perfect for that. Or you can just go to the store and buy whatever colors best suits your particular taste for a project like this. My name is Sig, and what a pleasure it is to have this time with you today. It's your interest and support that allows me to contribute new content and weekly videos. Help us all grow together by tapping the subscribe bar, notification bell, and like buttons. I look forward to your comments and always value your feedback. Now let's get started. So in today's video, I'm going to be using a number of yarns. Now you don't necessarily have to use the color of yarn I'm using. This is just what I happen to have available in my stash. And because it's what I have in my stash and what I'm using from my stash, I kind of use a variety of colors, and because it's a kid's Afghan, a variety of colors is perfect. There is one thing, however, that all these yarns I'm going to show you do have in common, and that is they are all a size 3. They're basically a light worsted weight yarn. So the first yarn I'm using is this green. It's a grass green, and for more information on the yarns themselves, just look in the description box below. And I'm using 10 ounces of this. I also am using this variegated yarn. It's kind of purples and pinks and white with specklies. I'm also using 10 ounces of this. The next color I'm using is black, and I am using approximately a 5-ounce ball for this. Now my next yarns, I have white, orange, a kind of seafoaming green, and a purple. And these yarns are just mostly like scrap leftover balls of yarns from previous projects. So there's very little here. I'm not entirely sure how much is being used, but since they're just being used on the spider or spiders, it really doesn't take very much anyways, but we'll get to that further into the video. Also, because all my yarns are a size 3, I'm going to be using a size F hook, or 3.75 millimeter hook. So as a quick note, use what you have. Just get colors that are either the favorite color of the person you are making this Afghan for, or whatever you have available in your stash. That's perfectly okay. In fact, you know, that's what gives it a lot of personality. Now, while I'm using a size 3 yarn, yes, this is true because I want it to be a small child's Afghan, you can certainly use a larger yarn. I wouldn't go any smaller on the yarn unless you wanted to crochet a bunch more rows and the length of the piece, unless you really wanted to alter your piece quite a bit. But if you wanted to go bigger, let's say to a size 4 yarn or even a bulkier 5 yarn, you can certainly use this same pattern and get a much larger Afghan just by virtue of using a larger yarn with the appropriate size hook. Now the first thing we want to do is make 3 of these panels. We're using the classic ripple stitch, and for those of you who already know how to do the ripple stitch, really the difference that is going to happen here is I'm going to show you how to make a nice clean straight edge on the bottom. So we're going to begin by chaining 65 chains. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 65. Next thing I want to do is make a treble crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. So that's going to be this chain right here. And then I'm going to want to make a double crochet in the next stitch. And in the stitch after that, I'm going to make a half double crochet. And then a half double crochet again. And then I want to do a single crochet twice. That'll be 1 single crochet, and in the next stitch, another single crochet. Next, I'm going to slip stitch in the next stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet twice. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets. And then I'm going to half double crochet twice. Once. And then again in the next stitch. And I'm going to make a double crochet in the stitch after that. And then in the stitch after that, I'm going to make a treble crochet. Next, I'm going to make a double crochet. And then next, I'm going to make a half double crochet. And then another half double crochet in the next stitch. And then a single crochet in the stitch after that, and a single crochet again in the next stitch. And then in the stitch after that, a slip stitch. So I think you can kind of see where we're going from here. I'm going to continue doing that same pattern all the way down to the end of my row. So again, I'm going to come here, I'm going to do a single crochet, again a single crochet, a half double crochet, and then a half double crochet again, and then a double crochet, then a treble crochet, and then a double crochet, and then a half double crochet, and again a half double crochet, then a single crochet, then another single crochet, and then a slip stitch. And I'm going to continue doing that. Okay, so now that I've finished my row, my last stitch should have been a treble crochet. And you should have from one end to the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 peaks. Now the next thing we're going to start doing is we're going to start working in our ripple pattern. And as you can see on my panel, I changed my colors over to this variegated yarn. But I'm switching things up and I'm going to flip my design just a bit. And so for my demonstration for you, I'm going to continue using my green because I'm changing things up a little bit color-wise in the panel that I'm making. However, if you're following this particular design, what you're going to want to do is do 4 rows of the variegated yarn and then 3 rows of the green. 4 rows of the variegated yarn and 3 rows of the green. For those of you who are choosing to use different colors or a different combination or even one yarn that's self-striking, and all of those options are perfect and all of those approaches are absolutely entirely up to you, and they're all going to work equally well and turn out equally beautiful. Just know that you're going to want a total of 55 rows for this part, right? So this being your first row, and then continue, as I mentioned before, with the ripple pattern for another 53 rows, giving us a total of 54 rows. And then our 55th row is going to be finishing off the top of our piece with another one of these stitches or patterns that's going to give you a nice even finish. Okay, so now that we've gotten our first row completed, I'm going to turn my work. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 2. And this begins the ripple pattern. We're just doing a classic ripple pattern. So in this same stitch as my chain 2 stitch, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet 2 double crochets right in that same stitch. Then I'm going to double crochet 4 double crochets. 2, 3, and 4. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 double crochets together with a skip 1 in between. And how I do that is I'm going to start my first double crochet, yarn over, pull through just the first 2 loops, and then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to skip this next stitch, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch after that. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through, and yarn over, and I'm going to complete my double crochet and also complete my other double crochet at the same time. So it's basically a decreased stitch for those of you who know, except it has a single crochet that you've just skipped in the center. So basically, for those of you who don't know, what you've done is you've taken 3 stitches and you've combined them into 1. So then next I'm going to double crochet 4 times. And 4. Now in this stitch right here and the next stitch, which is going to be the treble, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet again in that same stitch. So you can see right there, 2 double crochets and a chain 1 in that same stitch. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet 4, 2, 3, and 4. Which brings me back down to the valley. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 2 double crochets together with the skip 1 in the middle. And your skip 1 is going to be that slip stitch. That's my second beginning of my double crochet. So I've got 2 double crochets started, 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through, and that completes my stitch at the valley of those peaks. I'm going to go ahead again and I'm going to double crochet once, twice, 3, and 4 times. And then in that treble crochet, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a double crochet plus a chain plus another double crochet, all in the same stitch. And I'm going to double crochet 4 times. And then in that next single crochet, I'm going to start my 2 double crochets together with the skipping of that slip stitch right there in the middle. And then again, I'm going to do 4 double crochets. And then back at that treble, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, plus another double crochet, all in the same stitch. And then again, 4 double crochets. Bringing us back down to the double crochets, 2 of them together with a stitch skipped in between. That'll be the start of my first double crochet. I'm going to skip the next stitch and then I'm going to begin my second double crochet. And now that I have 3 loops on my hook and 2 double crochets that need to be completed, I'm going to yarn over, pull my yarn through, and I'm going to finish that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double crochet 4. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to double crochet plus a chain plus another double crochet in that same stitch right there on top of that treble. And then again, 4 double crochets. So then I'm going to do one more double crochet together with a 1 stitch in between. I'll start my first double crochet, skip a stitch, and then start my second double crochet. 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through and complete my 2 double crochets together. And I'm going to double crochet 4 times. And that brings us right back up here to our last stitch of our row. And in this last stitch of our row, we're going to want to double crochet 2 times in that same stitch. And that completes row 2. Now row 3 is going to be the row that you repeat until you've completed your 54th row. So for row 3, it's real similar to row 2. I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. And then here, because we're at the end, you're going to go ahead and going to make 2 double crochets in that same stitch. Then I'm going to double crochet 4. And I'm going to do my 2 double crochets together with a stitch in between. So the stitch we're going to start off with is our double crochet. We're going to complete half of that. Then we're going to skip this next stitch and start our second double crochet. And after completing half of that, it should leave us with 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull that through, and we have our completed 2 double crochets together with a stitch in between, with a skipped stitch. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and double crochet 4 times. Now in this next chain 1 space, we're going to go ahead and we're going to double crochet 1 plus a chain plus another double crochet, all in that same chain 1 space. And we're going to double crochet 4 times. And then again, we're going to do the 2 double crochets together with a skipped stitch in between. Skip that stitch, go to the next one. And then we're going to double crochet 4 more times. And again, at this peak, basically this chain 1 space, I'm going to do it again. Double crochet plus a chain 1 plus another double crochet, all in that same stitch. And we're going to continue just like this. So row 3, we're going to repeat row 3 until we've completed row 54. And then I will meet you back here at that moment, and then I'll show you how to do row 55. So now I'm just on the verge of completing row 54, and I'll do that by putting my last 2 double crochets right there into the last stitch of that row. And now I'm going to turn my work, and we're going to begin row 55. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to slip stitch in that same stitch. Next, I'm going to single crochet, and in the next stitch, I'm going to single crochet. And in the stitch after that, I'm going to half double crochet, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet in the stitch after that. Next, I'm going to make a double crochet. And then in my next stitch, I'm going to make a treble crochet. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a double crochet again in the next stitch. And then half double crochets in the next 2 stitches. And then single crochets in the next 2 stitches after that. And then right here in this chain 1 space, I'm going to slip stitch. Just like that. And now I'm going to start that all over again. So in the next stitch is going to be a single crochet. And then after that, another single crochet. And then after that, a half double crochet. And then a half double crochet again. And then of course, next is going to be our double crochet. And then our treble crochet. And then we're going to go back into a double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 half double crochets, and we're going to do 2 single crochets, and that brings us right back to the next chain 1 space, and we're going to slip stitch into that, and we're going to continue this that way for the length of row 55. Single crochet, and then slip stitch. We're back here at this corner at the very last stitch of row 55. We're going to begin our round, our first round, basically round 56 if you like, and I'm going to begin that by chaining 1, which I already have, and then I'm going to single crochet once in that same stitch. I'm going to then chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet 1 more time in that stitch again. Next up, will put me in a position to start single crocheting right down the edge of my work. For rows 2 all the way through 54, you're going to want to work in evenly across the edge 106 single crochets. So basically that's going to be 2 single crochets per row. And then we get to the next corner stitch. Again, it's going to be a single crochet, a chain 1, and then another single crochet. And then you're going to do a single crochet in each of the stitches along the edge or the bottom edge. And then when you get to the other edge, the other raw edge of your work, same thing. You're going to work the corners exactly like we worked this very first corner. A single crochet plus a chain 1 plus another single crochet. And then, of course, you're going to then work 106 single crochets on the other side of your work, your other raw edge, between the rows of 2 and 54. And we get all the way back around here to where we began at this first corner. I'll tell you what we do next. So now that I've finished my last stitch here for row 56, and I've come upon my first single crochet that I did when I began this round, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join right into that single crochet with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to half double crochet 2 half double crochets in that chain space there at the corner. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do 2 more half double crochets in that same chain space. And then I'm going to half double crochet each stitch after that. Now when I hit the next corner, I'm going to do exactly what I did here. 2 half double crochets, chain 2 and 2 more half double crochets, all in the same stitch, and then I'm going to continue with the half double crochets in each stitch after that. So basically that's what I'm going to do for this next round, this round 57, and I'll meet you right back here in just a moment. Now when I've come to the end of round 57, and I'm going to finish off this color. And then next I'm going to start with a round of black. So for round 58, we're basically going to do a similar to what we did to round 57. You can really tie this in anywhere you want. I'm just going to go ahead and tie this into here. And I'm going to chain 2. And then as before, I am going to half double crochet in each stitch. Now once I get to the corner, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to half double crochet twice, and then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to half double crochet 2 more times, all in that same corner stitch, that chain 2 space. So it looks something like this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch, and then when I get to each corner with the 2 chain space, I'm going to do a combination of 2 half double crochets plus a chain 1 plus 2 half double crochets. And then when I've completed this round 58, then we're going to finish off, and we're going to whip stitch our panels together. Okay, so I've just completed ordering my final panel with half double crochets in the black. Also, I have my first 2 panels where I've actually already sewn them together. So we're going to connect our very last panel. And for this, it's just going to be very basic. I am simply going to whip stitch in the back loops only these 2 panels together. Now when I finish sewing these panels together, I am going to do again one more time, but around the whole piece, half double crochet around the outside of the whole piece in black. And then after that, we're going to move on to the next step, and that's going to be the spider web trim. So I'm going to begin by chaining 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next, I'm going to join in the first chain. And then I'm going to chain 1. And next I'm going to single crochet 12 in this chain 6 ring. So 1, 2, 3, 11, and 12. So 12 single crochets will complete round 1. So for round 2, I'm going to begin by, of course, joining from round 1, and then I'm going to chain 3 plus 2, and then in the next single crochet stitch I'm going to double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then the next single crochet stitch I'm going to double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to continue that 9 more times. So I'll end up with a total of 12 chain 2 spaces. Once I've completed that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join in the 3rd chain of this 5 chain stitch here at the very beginning of round 2. Now for round 3, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 6. Next, I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. Then I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. I'm going to chain 3 again, and then double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. I'm going to continue doing that all the way around until I get back to the beginning, where I will join in the 3rd chain of the chain 6 stitch. So now that I've completed row 3, I'm going to move on to row 4, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet stitch, and then I'm going to chain 4, and then I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet stitch, and then I'm going to chain 4 again. I'm going to continue just like that all the way around, and when I get back here to the beginning, I'm going to join at the 3rd chain of this 7 chain stitch. Next, for round 5, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to treble crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And then I'm going to chain 5. And next I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. I'm going to chain 5. Next I'm going to treble crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to treble crochet again in the next double crochet stitch. Then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And I'm going to chain 5 again. And then I'm going to treble crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to treble crochet in the next double crochet stitch after that. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then again, just like before, I'm going to double crochet in that next double crochet stitch. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to treble crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to treble crochet again in the next double crochet stitch. And I'm going to chain 5. Then I'm going to do one more double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And I'm going to chain 5 one more time. And then I'm going to join in the 4th stitch of this chain 9 stitch that we started off with. So far my work should look something like this. So next, I'm going to begin by chaining 1, and this is going to be for round 6. And then I'm going to single crochet in that same stitch. And we're going to begin working the very first corner. So in that first corner, I'm going to go ahead in that 5 chain space. I'm going to single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, and then I'm going to double crochet, half double crochet, and then single crochet. And that completes my first corner. And each corner is going to be done just like this, with a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, a chain 1, then a double crochet, a half double crochet, and then finally with your last single crochet. That's going to be what you're going to do in each of the corners. 3 corners left. Now in this treble crochet, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet 1. Then I'm going to single crochet 5 single crochets in the chain 5 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'm going to single crochet in this next double crochet stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet 5 single crochets in this 5 chain stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet again in this next treble crochet. And then I'm going to begin my next corner. And we're going to continue just as we did before, starting from the first corner we began with. Just like that all the way around. And when we've completed round 6, that is when I am going to finish off the color I'm working with and switch over to my next color. So now that you've completed round 6 and you've finished off with your white color, this is what you should have. This is what it should look like. Something similar to this. Now next I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tie in my new color, and I'm going to use purple because that's just, you know, I happen to have some colors available, and I don't need a lot of this, but so I'm going to begin by tying that on, and then I'm going to give myself 2 chains, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to half double crochet in the next single crochet, and I'm going to half double crochet in the next single crochet after that. I'm going to continue to half double crochet in each single crochet stitch until I hit my corner. Now once I've hit my corner, I'm going to half double crochet into that chain 1 space once and then twice. So 2 half double crochets plus a chain 1, and then I'm going to do 2 more half double crochets in that same chain 1 space. And then I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch after that until I hit my next chain 1 space in the next corner. And then at that time I'll do exactly what I did here. 2 half double crochets plus a chain 1 plus 2 half double crochets. I'm going to continue to do that all the way around. And then when I've finished this round 7, I'm going to finish off this color and I'm going to begin with my next color. Now once I've completed my round 7, this is what my web begins to look like. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in my 3rd color. And I'm going to begin anywhere. I'm going to tie on just like before. And I'm going to make sure I have 2 chains. And then I'm going to half double crochet into the next half double crochet stitch. I'm going to continue to half double crochet in each of the following half double crochet stitches until I hit the corner or that chain 1 space. Now once I've reached my first chain 1 space here at the corner, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to half double crochet 3 times in that same space. Just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch after that until I come to my next chain 1 space. And then I'm going to half double crochet 3 times in that chain 1 space. And I'm going to continue just like this all the way around until I've finished my round 8, at which time I will tie off. And then I will have finished my basic spiderweb square. Now for 20 of the blocks, we are going to stop right here. So we'll finish off our black border right after round 8. But for 8 of our blocks, we're going to add an extra round. So I'm going to do a 9 rounds for 8 of the spiderweb blocks and 8 rounds for 20 of the spiderweb blocks. So to do the 9th round, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and I'm going to join, of course, right there into that first single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then just exactly what we did before, I'm going to half double crochet in each of the stitches until I get to the second single crochet of the 3 single crochets that we've stitched in this chain 1 space. And then in that one, I'm going to double crochet, or sorry, I'm going to half double crochet 3 half double crochets in that stitch. And then I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch after that until I get to the second half double crochet of the 3 half double crochets we made in that chain 1 space. And that's just how I'm going to do and complete my round 9, and then I'm going to finish that off and move on to my next block or move on to the spider. So now that I've finished all of my blocks, my web blocks, I'll have 20 web blocks of 8 rows, and I will have 8 blocks of 9 rows. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my 8 blocks aside, and I'm going to take my 20 blocks of 8 rows and I'm going to split them in half. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 10 blocks and sew them together, basically whip stitch them together, back loop only, to create one long strip. Then I'm going to do that again with my next set of 10 blocks. So essentially I will have 2 strips, each with 10 blocks in it. And those 10 blocks will be the blocks that have the 8 rounds. And then I will also do 2 more strips. But in those next 2 strips, we're going to have 4 blocks in each one of those strips. And these blocks are going to be your blocks that are made from 9 rounds. Next, once you have your strips sewn together, you're going to want to do a half double crochet around the entire strip. Just as before, we're just basically repeating the same step that we did before when we did our half double crochets around each block. Now we're going to do a half double crochet around each set of blocks in the strips. And basically it's going to be the same stitch. We're going to half double crochet in each stitch, and then in the corner stitch we're going to make 3 half double crochets together in that same stitch. And then when we've completed a single round for the strip, then we're going to fasten off and set that strip aside. And when I have all 4 strips completed, then we'll move on to the next step. So now once I've completed all 4 strips, I've got 2 strips with 10 blocks and 2 strips with 4 blocks, and each one of those blocks has an additional round of half double crochet all the way around the border, just like we discussed. I'm going to move on to my next step. And the next step is to take my 4 block strips, the 2 of them, and I am going to whip stitch, back loops only, one to the bottom of my 3 panel piece of material, and I'm going to whip stitch, back loop only, the other strip, top panel of my ripple stitch panels. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this, and then I'll just end up whip stitching that right there on there. The next, I'm going to take my 10 block strips, and I'm going to back loop only whip stitch, one on each side of the long side of your Afghan. And when that's completed, you should have the complete Afghan panel. Now, once you've completed sewing on each of the 4 strips, once more, we're going to go ahead and we're going to half double crochet around the entire Afghan. And again, in each corner of the Afghan, we're going to place 3 half double crochets into that same stitch. And so at the end of this, you should basically have sewn together 6 panels. You'll have your 3 ripple stitch panels, and you'll have your 4 web block panels stitched together into one, basically a rectangle or Afghan. Once that has been done, I am going to half double crochet along the edge of the entire Afghan. Just like before, I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch, and then in each corner stitch, I'm going to place 3 half double crochets in the same stitch. And that's how I will finish off the main Afghan itself, and then we'll move on to making the spider appliques. So now that I've gotten all my blocks and panels assembled, and then I did one more round of the half double crochet around the entire piece, I then decided, kind of late in the game, to just go ahead and add an additional little bit of a scalloped border. And so for that, basically, all I did was that I skipped 2 stitches, and then in the next half double crochet, I double crocheted 5, and then I skipped 2 stitches, and I did a single crochet, and then I skipped 2 stitches, and in that next stitch, I double crocheted 5. And then I skipped 2 stitches, and I single crocheted 1, and I skipped 2 stitches, and continued that pattern all the way around. Nothing special from beginning to end. That's just exactly what I did. And then when I finished that very last round, to give myself a little bit of a scalloped edge, I just finished off and wove in my ends. Now, if you don't want to do this step, that's perfectly okay, and it's totally up to you, because that last round of half double crochets should be enough to finish it off nicely. I just wanted a little extra something. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to making the spiders. And the first thing I want to do is to make the eyes. The eyes are very simple. I'm going to want to make 6 of these total, because I'm making 3 spiders and I'm giving each spider 2 eyes. So for this one, for the orb of the eye, I want to go ahead and in an adjustable ring, I want to single crochet 6. That'll be my first row. Now I'm working in a spiral. So instead of joining, I'm simply just going to go to that very first single crochet that I started with in that first row, or round rather, and I'm going to begin my second round. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 single crochets in each stitch for my second round, and that'll leave me with 12 stitches total, 12 single crochets. So 11 and 12. And I'm going to begin my second round. And for my second round, I'm going to make a single crochet. I'm going to do a single crochet in one stitch, and then in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. And then in the stitch after that, I'm going to do 1 single crochet. And then again, in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So I'm going to continue that pattern until I have a total of 18 stitches for round 3. Then I'm going to do 1 more round of single crochets, and I want to end up with 24 stitches for round 4. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet and then single crochet, and then the next stitch 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to again single crochet, single crochet, and then in the next stitch 2 single crochets. I'm going to continue that all the way around until I've accomplished my count of 24, and then I'm going to fasten off my white. I'm now going to bring in my black yarn so that I can do a nice black outline for the white eyeball part. And I'm just simply going to tie that on, and I'm going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So once I've done a round in the black, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie this off, but I'm going to leave myself a long enough tail for sewing the eye on to my spider. Next, I'm going to make the pupil for our spider's eye. And this is super simple. Again, we're going to make an adjustable ring. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet 6 in that ring. I'm going to tighten the ring. And then I'm going to join at that first single crochet. So now once I've joined, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fasten off, but again I'm going to leave a tail long enough to sew my pupil on. And then of course the next thing I'm going to do is figure out about where I would like to place my pupil on the eye to give it the kind of personality maybe that I'm looking to get from it. And I'm just going to basically do a whip stitch to whip stitch that on into the middle of that eye where I want it, where I think it'll look best. And that'll be the completion of my first eye, ready to be sewn on to my spider applique. So now I'm going to start the spider. And for the spider, I'm going to begin by making an adjustable ring. And then I'm going to single crochet 6 single crochets in that ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to tighten my ring up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join in that very first single crochet there for round 1. Now for round 2, this is where I'm going to start the bobble stitches because the spider is made up of mostly bobble stitches. And so I'm first going to chain 3. And because my bobble stitches are going to be 4 double crochet bobble stitches, this chain 3 is going to act as my first double crochet for this first stitch. So I'm going to get my 3 double crochets started. So for those of you who don't know how to do a bobble stitch, here, let me just back up a little bit. A 4 double crochet bobble stitch is going to be a bobble stitch made with 4 double crochets. And I've already got my 3 chain here, so we're just going to count that as a double crochet. So the next 3 double crochets in the same stitch are going to be basically like, I'm going to double crochet 3 together. But I'm going to only do each half double crochet. I'm going to start it off and only follow through halfway. And then on my very last double crochet, I'm going to follow through on the whole thing, and I'll show you what I mean. So I've got my 1 double crochet started, and then I have my 2nd double crochet started. So this in essence leaves me with 3 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my 4th, or in this case, my 3rd double crochet started. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull that yarn through, and then I'm going to make a slip stitch. And that's my first bobble. So now my next bobbles are going to consist of the 4 double crochets for this round. So I've got the 1, and then I've got the 2, 3, and then 4. And that leaves me with 5 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn all the way through, and then I'm going to make a slip stitch. And again, I'm going to do this 4 more times, because the second row I want to have 6 4 double crochet bobbles. And then when I come back around, I'm going to join in the next stitch. Right, so for this one, this right here technically isn't a stitch, it's actually the 3rd chain of the last 3 chain hook, but we're going to treat it as a stitch. So I'm going to go into that stitch right there, and I'm going to join, and I'm going to chain 3, and this will get me started for my 3rd row. And then for my 3rd row, I want to have 12 bobbles. So this is how I'm going to handle that. I'm going to put a bobble in each one of these stitches. So technically, this stitch and this stitch, these are like your real stitches, and this is kind of like a pseudo stitch. In other words, like part of the stitch from the previous row that gets pulled up into the top part of this round. But for our purposes and for this spider, we're going to treat that like a stitch. And so we've got 12 stitches that go all the way around, and so I'm going to do a bobble in each one of those stitches. So that's my first bobble. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to do my 2nd bobble. And then in this next stitch, I'm going to do my 3rd bobble, and so on and so forth. And I will end up with 12 bobbles for round 3. So that brings us back around to the beginning. And then I'm going to go ahead and in this first stitch, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join. I'm going to chain 3. Now for round 4, I want 24 bobbles. So again, I'm going to do a bobble in each one of these stitches that I see, all the way around for round 4. So now I've completed my 24 bobbles for round 4. And as before, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join. And I'm going to chain 3 for the beginning of round 5. And for round 5, I also want 24 bobbles in this round. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to skip a stitch. So I'm going to do a bobble, I'm going to skip a stitch, I'm going to do a bobble, I'm going to skip a stitch, and that will give me 24 bobbles for round 5. Here's my first bobble. I'm going to skip the stitch, and then I'm going to use this next stitch right here, and I'm going to create my next bobble. Skip a stitch and begin my next bobble. I'm going to do this all the way around. That'll leave me with 24 bobbles at the end of round 5. So this is what the completion of round 5 looks for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join. I'm going to chain 3 and I'm going to begin round 6. For round 6, I want 30 bobbles. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do 3 bobbles, or make a bobble 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. And then in that 4th stitch, I'm going to put 2 bobbles together. Or actually, I'm going to put 2 bobbles into that same stitch. So I'm going to begin with my first bobble. Do it once. I'm going to do it twice. I make my 3rd bobble in that next stitch. Or pseudo stitch if you like. For this one, just as before, we're just simply going to skip this slip stitch on top of the bobbles. So that's going to be my 3rd bobble. And then now in this 4th stitch, I'm going to place 2 bobbles. That'll be my 2nd bobble in that same stitch. And then I'm going to do that again. So a bobble, and a bobble, my 3 stitches. And then in my next stitch, 2 bobbles. I'm going to do that all the way around. And for round 6, I will end up with 30 bobbles for my round. So now that I have my 30 bobbles, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join. I'm going to chain 3 and get ready to begin round 7. Now round 7 is where it starts to get just a tad bit trickier. You have to pay a little more attention because this is the round where we're going to start adding the legs. And also, we're increasing the round from 30 bobbles to 36 bobbles. So basically the thing you want to keep in mind is, again, we're going to just make our bobbles in these sort of pseudo stitches. So we're going to skip the stitch or the slip stitch at the top of each bobble, and we're going to use this kind of stitch between the bobbles. And for every 4 bobbles we make, the 5th bobble or the 5th stitch is going to have 2 bobbles in it. So that'll give us a total of 36 bobbles on this round. And the tricky part comes in when we kind of have to pay attention to our count while we do our legs. So we get started with our first bobble. So 1, 2, 3. And 4. And then this next stitch, I'm going to put 2 bobbles into that stitch. So that'll be my first bobble, then my second bobble in that same stitch. Now this is where I'm going to actually start my first leg. So to do that, I'm going to chain 21. And when I have 21 stitch chains, I'm going to go ahead and in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to single crochet. And then I'm going to single crochet each chain after that, all the way back to the body of the spider. Okay, so I've completed my first leg. Or at least this part of the leg. We'll have one more step after this, but right now we're just focused on this last round of green for the body. And then I'm going to do my next bobble in that next stitch. So I've started my first bobble again. I need 3 more bobbles before I do 2 bobbles in the same stitch. But I'm going to do this next bobble. And then I'm going to start my second leg. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 21. And when I have 21 chains, I'm going to insert my hook into the second chain from my hook. And I'm going to make a single crochet in each chain after that, all the way back to the body. And once I get back to the body, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my next bobble stitch in that next stitch. And then I'm going to make my 4th bobble stitch in the next stitch. And then I'm going to start my next leg. So I want to chain 21. And then when I've chained 21, I'm going to begin single crochet in each one of those stitches, each one of those chains, beginning with the second chain from the hook. Now I'm back to my body, and this is also the 5th in the series of stitches for my bobble stitches. So in this next stitch, I'm going to do my 2 bobble stitches in that same stitch. And then 1 more bobble stitch in that same stitch. And then we're going to begin our 4th leg for this side of the spider. So again, I'm going to chain 21. And then I'm going to begin single crochets back towards the body. So now that I have my 4 legs, I'm going to go and I'm going to continue with the bobble stitch, bobble stitch, bobble stitch, bobble stitch, and then 2 bobble stitches. And then again, a bobble stitch, a bobble stitch, a bobble stitch, and then 2 bobble stitches. Right? So I'm going to do that pattern twice, and then I'm going to start my 4 legs again, just the way I did them on this side. And then when I've finished up those legs, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment, I'm going to continue to work the remainder of my 36 bobbles for row 7. So now, as you can see, I've completed my last 4 legs, just like I did the first 4 legs. And then this is the last 2 bobbles in the same stitch, so I'm beginning my first of the first 4 right here. So I'll do a bobble, a bobble, a bobble, and then a bobble. And then my last stitch, I'll have my last 2 bobbles in that last stitch. And then I will finish off my green. And then I will be right back to show you how I do the black. So now with the black, you can start anywhere you like, really. But I like to start right here at what I'm going to consider the back corner of the leg. And tie in. And then I'm going to single crochet each stitch, except with a couple of caveats. And I will get into those here in just a minute. So here on the leg, keeping in mind that I'm working on the back of the leg. So if this were my spider, my eyes would be down here, and this would be the butt, and these are the legs. So I'm working on the back of the leg. And I'm going to single crochet up 9 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. And then in my 10th stitch, I'm going to place 2 single crochets. And in my 11th stitch, I'm going to place 2 single crochets. And that's going to help the bend in my legs. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue to single crochet in each stitch. Until I hit the end of this row for this leg. And then right here in this last chain, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet 3 single crochets. Just like so. Then I'm going to single crochet 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I'm going to skip this 10th stitch. And I'm going to single crochet in the 11th stitch. And I'm going to continue to single crochet all the way down until I hit the body. So you can see how we made that bend in the leg. And when it comes time to positioning your spider on your Afghan and sewing it down, this bend will help tremendously to give you the shape of the spider legs that you're looking for. So now I'm going to continue. And I'm going to single crochet in each stitch on the round. Which brings me back to the leg. And then again, I'm going to single crochet 9 times. And then in the 10th stitch, I'm going to put 2 single crochets. And then in the 11th stitch, I'm going to put 2 single crochets. And then I'm going to single crochet all the way down to the end. And that very last chain stitch here at the end, I'm going to place 3 single crochets. And again, I'm going to single crochet 9. I'm going to skip the 10th stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet in that 11th stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet in each stitch all the way back to the body. And then I'm going to do this again 2 more times on the last 2 legs on this side of the body. Then next I'm going to single crochet in each stitch along the front end of the body. And then when I get to the legs here on the other side of the body, I'm going to do what I did here, but flip it. So when I come here, I'm going to single crochet 9 times, then I'm going to skip the 10th stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet again in the 11th stitch, giving me my bend on the inside. And then I'm going to single crochet all the way to the end where I have this very last chain where we turn, and then I'm going to single crochet 3 single crochets in that end, in that very last stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet 9 stitches coming up. And in the 10th stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, and then in the 11th stitch, I'm going to do 2 more single crochets. And then I'm going to go back to just my single crochets as before. So I'll see you right back here with this finished here in just a moment. Now that I've finished the body of my spider, looks like this. And then I've got my eyes that I will sew on. I'll decide how I want them to go on. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sew my spider into place on my Afghan. Now that I've finished this super fun, super cute Afghan, but now it's the time for me to say goodbye. So until I see all you wonderful and creative fiber artists again, stay crafty, stay amazing, and bye-bye now. Have a fantastic day.